The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jamison Rabbit. The man seated next to me once hammered a banana through his 2x4. His name is Mike Roth.
You gotta freeze the banana and get a soft 2x4. It's really easy.
You make it sound easy. So simple.
Yeah, it's simple. It's not something that people like doing because it's pointless.
Yeah.
But besides the pointless part,
Sounds like a waste of a banana.
it is a waste of
I like
a board.
a tasty banana.
Both of them are a complete waste of time.
Ridiculous.
But, I don't have a life. So, yeah, I do little things so that I could get known for them.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It's all in your trivia. It's all going in the book.
It's going to be a big, fat book because we're creeping up on some pretty high numbers.
We are, this, as we speak, is episode 298, sir. We're a couple away from a nice celebration.
And if anybody wants to go through all our episodes and make my Wikipedia page,
oh man, it'd be amazing.
that would be great.
It would be amazing. That's a job right there. So here we are. It's a new year, 2020.
Yeah.
New year.
How different does this feel?
New hair.
Have you ever played role-playing games at all?
Yeah.
So Cyberpunk 2020 starts.
Oh.
So I'm going to get my skin weave and my brain chipped.
I like it.
I think Johnny Mnemonic was around this time,
I think
too.
it was, yeah.
Yeah. There was so
Virtual
many
reality
dismal...
is about to become a big thing.
And I don't have a flying car. I still have to push the gas pedal.
Like a chump. The worst.
Future stinks.
Let's take a look at what we have this week, though. We got some movies to talk about. And we're going to start with our streaming spotlight. This week we go to Amazon Prime for the film Light of My Life. There's a running theme through our films this week in that most of them are written and directed by the same person. A lot of writer-directors in this one. So this one is written and directed by Casey Affleck. It also stars Casey Affleck. Basically, him and a young girl, Anna Pinowski, who plays his daughter, Rag, they're basically the only people who we really get to know in this movie.
Yeah.
And it takes place several years after a pandemic has wiped out the female population. And the world is a very scary place at this point.
Yeah.
A place written by men and they're angry.
Yeah.
Dad and Rag are kind of living off the grid when they can, really trusting no one. And because Rag is somehow a female who escaped, maybe born right as the pandemic was sweeping through, but there aren't women around. And so, as a properly paranoid dad, he has made her to pretend and act and be like a boy.
Yeah.
You're my son. We can't let anyone know you're my daughter. Bad things will probably happen if we do. And so for her safety, she has to do it. She doesn't always love this. Casey Affleck's character of the dad is full of paranoia, as they really only have each other and their wits in this dangerous world. And as they move through life, interactions with other humans are few and seemingly always dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing. And there are rumors as they talk to people of there's a compound. We got women at this compound. You got to get there. Blah blah blah. But really, this film is one of those films. It's kind of a quiet look at this dad, his daughter, how much he loves her, how he'll kill and die for her.
Oh,
and
he won't die.
I mean,
He refuses.
Yeah, and it's just, I love the best part of the film to me is like the quiet conversations between the two of them. And he's struggling because he's terrified of what he's, as his father, is he enough? Does he know enough? He's got a daughter who's entering puberty.
Yeah.
He's terrified of all of this. And she's starting to kind of want to branch out from just doing everything he tells her to do.
Yeah.
And this film kind of reminded me a lot of my favorite movie of last year, Leave No Trace.
Okay.
Similar. Also kind of The Road, where it's kind of a wasteland, and we've got to try and get somewhere, but everyone we see on the road is probably going to kill us.
I was thinking it was going to be more of and of course it blanks out once I'm about to say it. Something of Men. Help me out.
Children of Men.
Children of Men.
Sure.
Because the premise is very much the same. The population will stop growing because we don't have women. And I was hoping to see more of the world. And I know that wasn't what this movie was supposed to be about. It was supposed to be the bond of a father and his daughter and the overprotectiveness. And in this case, the overprotectiveness is extremely justified. But I had a hard time trying to believe that this teenage daughter would act exactly like a teenage daughter that this would have happened in the world right now, or most of her life. She doesn't remember her mother.
Right.
It was 7 years ago when all this happened. And to have her be all of a sudden, okay, I want to get into these stereotypes of what females are, without actually having a female
that society to tell you that's...
Yeah, and that part, I liked the acting, but in the case of the daughter, I didn't find her role very believable because of the situation, and it was hard for me to get into those really meaningful, quiet moments because in my head, it's like, okay, these conversations would work great in a society now, but in a time where you had 8 years where this is all your life, I would like to have seen at least a little bit more of the world around in order for me to get engaged.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Casey Affleck is good in this role.
Yes.
I think that Anna Poniowski is good as Rag. And this is the dynamic, the type of movie that I absolutely love. Like I said, Leave No Trace was similar in tone. That was my favorite movie last year. But it did something much more than this movie did. It dove into the issues that Ben Foster's dad, as the dad, had, a relationship between him and his daughter, where the daughter almost had to become the one who took care of him because of his issues that he had, his PTSD and stuff like that. And it dove more into their relationship and the dynamics between them.
Yeah.
This one didn't quite get there for me. It left a lot of that lacking for me, and so I do like that. Give me a post-apocalyptic time. You've already got me interested, and so that got me halfway there. And the performances were good, but I think it did lack something in the storytelling.
Yeah,
I wanted more to grasp onto.
I wanted more from the actress, mostly, and I really wanted more from the world, which really felt like it did not exist, but it did. There was little points in time where he did go into populated areas, but it was very far and few between.
Right. Yeah. What did you give Light of My Life?
I give it a 2.5. It's not. I thought it was mediocre.
You see my score on there. I give it 4.
Wow, you really liked it.
I mean, I liked it, but I mean, yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's probably a higher score than I just talked about. But, I mean, I'm a sucker for this. It's a 3-star just going in usually with these types of movies.
And overall, just having a writer, director, and main actor is a major feat right there. And
These
I usually
Afflecks are pretty good at directing.
Yeah. That's all right.
That's all right. Let's move on to what we have on the marquee this week, sir. And you saw a film that I didn't get a chance to. What did you see?
Spies in Disguise. This was a movie that looked really interesting for me. It's the Will Smith becomes a pigeon movie. And right away in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this is very possibly not going to be good. But the whole thing is about Will Smith. He is framed for a crime he did not commit. He is now a treason. He's a traitor, and he is on the run. He goes to a scientist's house. His name is Walter. It's played by Tom Holland, and he has all these devices that are made for peaceful resolutions. He's like, it's not right that we're always trying to kill people. We should try to do more passive things that makes people happy, and therefore you dissolve the conflict through there, which seem terrible and silly ideas. But as the movie goes on, it re-hits this over and over again, that violence begots violence, and there are other ways to do other things. And it becomes actually way more deep than what I was expecting in this movie. The humor is spot on. It's not going to get any awards because there is some, potty humor, like Will Smith naked kind of dangling in front of Walter a couple of times, which are a little bit blue moments where you're thinking, this is not really PG material. It is PG-13, but there's parts that don't feel too kid-friendly.
Okay.
But I think the message was fantastic. It was unexpected. It was extremely humorous. It had some oddball humor that just kind of catches you off guard and makes you laugh out loud. And I was not expecting that from this film. I was also not expecting this to be in my top 3 animated movies of the year.
So the animation was good.
The animation was good. The humor was great. The message was a lot deeper and cooler than I thought it was going to be. It was a solid movie all the way through. And at the end, I was just, I was amazed. This is not an art film by any means, but as an animation, this was extremely solid, and I was really glad I went to see this.
So what did you give Spies in Disguise?
I give it a 4.5, which is way huger than anybody. But I was just, I think a lot of that score is how surprised on how much I enjoyed.
Because it was a mediocre trailer, I thought.
Yeah, mediocre trailer, mediocre premise.
Yeah.
I mean, Will Smith as a pigeon. You figured that was going to be the gag all along.
Sure.
But there's more to this, and I was not expecting that at all. Maybe
I'm gonna have to go check this out now. It's a down week for movies this upcoming week, so I might have to go check this out.
Of course, it's in my top 3, so you know, keep in mind I'm not putting it above the other ones, which I'm going to divulge. I'm sure in a
an
few
upcoming
weeks.
episode.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, because it is the end of the year. The next film that we have on the marquee is one I saw. It is a film called Uncut Gems, written and directed by the Safdie brothers. It stars Adam Sandler as a man named Howard. This is our newest A24 film. Following an obsessive gambler, Howard, who owes money to some scary people. Everything basically that he does is in an attempt to dig out of this hole. He's a jeweler. He's been scamming people, kind of always robbing Peter to pay Paul, trying to fast talk his way out of trouble. He's kind of a dirtbag through this entire film. He's horrible to his family. His wife is ready to leave him. They're kind of carrying on a sham marriage until after Passover, basically, when they'll break it to everyone. He also has a girlfriend who is one of his employees, who's living in his side apartment that he has. Just an all-around great guy. And he thinks that he's finally hit his big score that's going to help save him from everything, just bail him out of everything. He's gotten this black opal from Ethiopia through mostly illegal means, you know, but it's this black opal that he is valued at over $1 million, and this is going to be it. But of course, in his need to impress, this is set in 2012. Kevin Garnett from the Boston Celtics comes into his jewelry shop to look at some things, and of course he has to show him, try to impress him that, hey, look at this. And Kevin Garnett says, hey, I'm drawn to it. That thing, it's speaking to me. Let me borrow it. And so he can't say no. He's yes. And now the adventure is trying to get the opal back from Kevin Garnett. In the meantime, he's running all over town as he's trying to stay ahead of these thugs who are out to hurt him, led by a man who is somehow related to him, like a brother-in-law played by Eric Bogosian, who has his 2 thumb breakers constantly chasing after Howard, and he is always trying to stay one step ahead of them, and also try and hustle other things by placing bets all over the place, trying to make up for the money he's lost. And you know, with an addictive gambler, that usually only makes it worse. The spiral gets deeper and deeper. And the best part about this film is the Safdie brothers do a great job of setting this very intentional tone and pace to this movie. It's a frenetic pace. Like, you're watching it, and I couldn't help but just feel frantic as he's constantly trying to fast talk his way out of just getting the snot kicked out of him by somebody, and trying to keep juggling a wife and a girlfriend and all these things, and trying to get this opal back and trying to make the money and all this. And the film is just really raw, really full of emotion. Even the film stock, it looks like old film stock. It doesn't look crisp and clean.
Actually makes him look a lot better.
Yeah, yeah. The film reminded me a lot of their last film, the Safdie brothers. They had Good Time a couple years ago with Robert Pattinson, and one of the Safdies starred in it. And that was 2 brothers who robbed a bank. The die pack goes off on them. They're on the run because, of course, there's other criminals that are after them that they owed money to. That's why they robbed the bank, and they're trying to stash the money and get away. And everyone's after them. And that's kind of similar as far as like this frantic pace and you're always running.
Yeah.
And this reminded me a lot of that. Adam Sandler he's unlikable. He's a selfish monster in this movie. He has a real addiction, and I could not take my eyes off of him. He was really good in this.
Yeah.
In a performance that everyone's lauding it's, Oscar winner. I don't know about that, but it's really good for Adam Sandler. I'll give you that.
So, I have not seen this movie, but
Yeah.
one of the things that perplexed me, I really did want to see this movie a lot. I just didn't have the time. But I noticed the Rotten Tomatoes, you have the audience just pretty much hating it, and then the critics are loving it.
Huge disparity, and it's
Why?
funny because a lot of people that I've talked to, and I think what I've found from just the sampling that I've talked to is women hate this movie. And I can understand because he treats every woman in this movie like a commodity. What can you do for me to help me out of a situation? When I finally get in trouble where I need, what can I get from you?
Yeah.
Everyone in this movie is unlikable. There's no good guys in this movie. And I found that I wasn't necessarily rooting for Sandler's character because I recognize he's a bad guy too.
Yeah.
He's a terrible human being. It made me care about him, but I think that's why there's a large disparity is because there is no one to root for in this movie.
Yeah.
They kind of want you to root for Sandler just because he is who he is and he's the face of the film, but it's tough. And it's a film that will have your heart just pounding and you're just like, party sometimes like maybe he just needs to get beat up right now because he's horrible. The things he's doing is awful. It's really an uneasy watch. You never quite know where it's going next. I really enjoy it.
Do they at any time glorify him, even though he is the bad guy?
In small ways, but it's like every time he does something that might make him okay or maybe get a win, he quickly nullifies that.
Okay.
So he is the loser guy who's kind of a degenerate.
Okay.
Like, okay, I got to win. Now I got to take that and do something completely horrible with it to put myself back in a hole, or with somebody, or say something, or do something to somebody who's helped me. Now I have to burn that bridge. It's interesting. And Eric Bogosian in this movie is a guy who I really like. He's in this. He's very quiet. He's like the guy who's constantly coming after him for his money. Maybe has 10 lines of dialogue. Does a lot of acting with his face.
Okay.
And I really like that. It also it's got a big cast. Idina Menzel plays his wife. She's great. Lakeith Stanfield plays a buddy of his. Judd Hirsch is in here. And there's a guy, real quickly, Keith Williams, who plays the head enforcer. He's the thumb cracker. He's the real bad guy after him. And I was like, I know this guy from somewhere. I know him. He kind of looks like Viggo Mortensen in a way. And I'm like, I wonder who you looked it up. Nope. This is his first film he's ever. They found him on a street and said, "You look like a tough guy. You want to be in this movie?" And he said, "Sure." I'm like, oh, I guess I've never seen him before.
That's how I'm hoping I'm going to get started.
One of these
Someone's
days,
going to make
man.
a movie about George Lucas, and they'll be like,
we're going to need money.
"Oh, look at you!"
Exactly.
We don't want you to say anything because his dialogue's usually bad.
We can
so.
only hope. But Uncut Gems is a film that I highly recommend. I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's a frantic movie. Take your heart medicine before you go, kids.
All right. I'm going to have to find time.
The next film, though, we have is another one from a writer and director, written and directed by Greta Gerwig. This is Little Women, a retelling of the classic tale of the March Sisters. This has been told many, many times.
But of course, she did not write this one.
No,
this has been around.
She did not write the book. She wrote the screenplay that was adapted. It's told as Joe reflects back through her story of the life of these women and the struggles that they went through growing up. It's got a crazy cast. Joe is played by Saoirse Ronan. And her sisters, Amy, played by Florence Pugh, Meg, played by Emma Watson, and Beth, played by Eliza Scanlon. And they each have their very own personalities. It's a film, the story, if you know the Little Women story at all, it's about love that's complicated, never easy, and pain that's kind of real and almost too lasting sometimes amongst sisters. And there's a reason this story has stood the test of time and been told so many times over and over again. You also have Laura Dern as Marmee, and Timothée Chalamet as Laurie, amongst Meryl Streep's in here as a
you got
minor role.
Huge stars in it.
That's the thing is like the small roles.
Yeah.
You got Meryl Streep, you have Tracy Letts, Chris Cooper, like some big actors, Bob Odenkirk, in more minor roles.
Yeah.
And for my money, it's just Florence Pugh. I think she's in a minor role. Her character Joe's the star of the story, always. And Saoirse Ronan's great. Florence Pugh is an actress, is somebody that I'm just mesmerized by, though. Every time I see her in a movie, I'm just drawn to her. I like what she does. There's something about her vulnerability in all her films, and this was no different. I thought she was the best character in this film.
Okay, I'm not going to deny you had some great acting. The set was great. I liked how they modernized certain scenes. So they redo Little Women quite frequently.
Yeah.
And it always feels extremely dry and
Dated
hard to get through.
Yeah,
or
I
in
agree.
this one, like slight mannerisms when like there's dancing. It doesn't feel like someone is rehearsing some steps to do for the theater. It seems more like natural people doing something that's fun, because that was fun during the time, and I really appreciated that about this movie. But overall, I don't think I can stand the story of Little Women.
Okay.
It comes off feeling a lot like a diary, and it feels
Well, that's
the writing,
exactly what it is.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like a good diary. It feels like this is what happened today, and then
Well, that's
when
the
that
whole
day is
joke of Little
done-
Women, is that it is just a story about these 4 regular ladies and the events that they went through in their life, and it reflects on certain things. But that is kind of the joke of it. Is like it's, Joe says like, why do anybody care about this? It's just a story about 4 girls.
Yeah, well, and unfortunately, that's where I was at. I couldn't really relate to the characters because I've never been a teenage girl, and
There's still time.
the Civil War thing, Civil War period pieces aren't that bad, but I need more to draw me into the story. And in this one, it seemed like little 10-minute scenes of this is what happened, and it got resolved kind of too easily for me, and then on to another 10
I enjoy that.
minutes.
Like, I thought that the thing that I really loved about this is that they felt like sisters to me, and the jealousy and the pain that they inflicted on each other felt real to me.
Yeah.
And the moments when something happened, they felt like sisters who realized, like, we've been dumb.
Yeah.
Like, why am I doing this? Why am I treating you this way? And sometimes you have to swallow my pride because of my sister. And I like that. I love the character of Beth, who's always the one in the far background. She's the quiet character. She's played by the least known actress out of this crew. Eliza Scanlon is not a household name like the rest of them kind of are. But she has a tremendous arc, I think, in this film, as kind of the glue for all these sisters, even though she's always in the background. And, Joe, Saoirse Ronan has the heavy lifting with the Joe character because she is the narrator, and a lot of like the romantic angles kind of revolve around her for the most part. I thought Saoirse Ronan was up to it as always. I don't know. I really enjoy this film, and I was expecting to because I haven't found a Little Women film that I've enjoyed in the past.
I was expecting to actually like this one because of the cast and because of how it was looking. And I was thinking, if I'm ever going to like Little Women, this is going to be it. And to be fair, I feel like this is probably the best version you'll ever get of Little Women, and they should stop remaking this.
I agree.
Because this is the best it's going to be. But I can't stand the story. And if I can't stand the story, can I say it's a good movie?
That is the problem. If you don't enjoy the story, that's going to be the whole hamstring for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I really liked Timothée Chalamet. I thought he played Laurie really well as a guy whose kind of allegiances are constantly shifting. And I don't know, I just want this cast and crew to stay together and just every year make another movie. I really want that to happen.
Please, not Little Women. Do another classic.
I mean, it feels like Greta Gerwig has found her muse in Saoirse Ronan after Lady Bird.
Yeah.
And then this. I like that. Stick with her. Keep making things for her. I'll be down with that. I mean, even characters like Chris Cooper's character is Laurie's dad, the rich neighbor next door, and how he formed a bond with Beth, and I found myself really caring about that.
I was told from other people who have read the story that Laurie was supposed to be actually an ugly character, and that was one of the things I found surprised when they're like, "Oh, that was the best feature." It's like, no, she's gorgeous. What? Her hair cut just makes her better looking, like Cheech when he cuts up his face.
What did you give Little Women, sir?
I gave it a 2. I'm sorry. I'm the only one who doesn't like this movie, but really I can't stand the story.
The Grinch is still around. We're far apart on this one. I gave Little Women 4.5 stars.
Everybody else.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie.
audience and critics all love this, but me.
What's interesting, sir, is we have talked about 4 movies so far, and all of them have gotten at least one score of 4+.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
We may disagree on them, but they're worth checking out, I think, just on that basis alone to see what you think.
I was really upset that I couldn't see Uncut Gems,
yeah.
but usually with my stack of movies, I'm lucky to get a 4. And when
we should flip-flop this upcoming week. You go see Uncut Gems. I'll see Spies in Disguise.
And then we'll redo the review.
Yeah.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling I'll like Spy in Disguise a lot more.
It could be.
It was good. Check it out when you can.
Let's take a look back, sir, at a film that you chose that unwittingly is just perfect throwback film for this. We go back to 2004, Snatch.
Oh!
This was also written and directed by the same guy.
Yeah, right, Guy Ritchie again, and we're going to be getting another Guy Ritchie movie coming. This is like one of the biggest Guy Ritchie movies. This is like the first one where I actually noticed him. It's all surrounding by a bunch of extremely unique characters, all thugs, all in London with really deep accents.
Oh, those accents and the nicknames, man, they always get me.
Oh, they are crazy.
I got to turn the subtitles on for this.
It's all turning around a diamond heist, and we have so many sub-stories all revolving around it. Your main character is played by Jason Statham. He's played Turkish, and it's one of the best roles he's been in.
Yeah.
He's a great action guy, but his acting is not that great. But in this one, he's just fantastic, and it's humorous. It's fast-paced. We get Brad Pitt speaking
Cockney accent.
Cockney gibberish,
Yeah.
which really, if you have the Blu-ray, put on the subtitles.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
want to know.
Same with Benicio del Toro. Every time he talks in anything, I turn the subtitles on.
You like dogs? Oh, do I like dogs? Yeah, I like dogs. But it's a fantastic fast action movie.
Yes.
Probably pairs really well with Uncut Gems.
Perfectly. I mean, it involves a jeweler's, and we got some sports in here, and we've got we're going after a stone.
Yeah.
It was very good, and I remember first discovering Guy Ritchie, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. I heard about, watched it. I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And then this came out 2 years afterwards, and now it's a lot of the same cast. Now we're adding in some American actors, bringing in Brad Pitt, blah, blah. Very similar in tone, those two movies. I think they're great. I think they're by far the best thing Guy Ritchie's done. He's had a struggle since then.
Out of those two, which one do you say is the best?
I like Snatch a little more,
Okay.
but I like them both quite a bit, and I've watched them both a couple of times at least.
I was wondering if I like Snatch more because it was the first time I was introduced to it, and Guy Ritchie's style is
Snatch is a
way
better.
different.
It's got a better overall narrative to it. Lock, Stock feels like a guy who's still trying to figure out how he wants to fit these pieces together.
Yeah.
And Snatch feels like I'm gonna take a lot of pieces from that first movie and we'll put them together in this one.
Yeah.
They're really gonna be aces.
Well, we'll have to see what he does.
He has
when
The
he
Gentleman
has
coming out in a couple weeks. That has a very familiar feel to it. I like his use of kind of odd camera angles in Snatch.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
It was extremely fresh when it came out.
Yes.
And unfortunately, in a lot of his lesser-known movies, he steals from what he thought was working the best, but the storytelling wasn't as
I'm
good.
gonna make a Robin Hood movie and a King Arthur movie.
Yeah.
I don't need any of that.
Maybe he just needs to stick to what he does best.
I agree. Let's take a look ahead, sir, at what we have coming soon, the weekend of January 10th. We have 4 films that weekend. The first one is 1917. Will be in wide release finally that week. I'm very excited for that.
Surprised that's coming out in January.
Well, it's a 2019 movie that got, tiny release in 2019.
Nice.
We also have Just Mercy, Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx. It's a prison film. Jamie Foxx may be wrongfully imprisoned.
Yep.
Michael B. Jordan is the lawyer who's set to get him out. This feels very much like Michael B. Jordan's Denzel role to me. Like I'm watching this going, oh, I could see young Denzel doing this.
It looks actually really, really good too
Yeah.
for. Is this
January
another
movie?
19?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
We also have Like a Boss, starring Rose Byrne, Tiffany Haddish, Salma Hayek, a couple ladies who open a company and
That
some
is
troubles.
a January
That's
movie.
a January movie, but I've never seen one. And lastly, we have Underwater, Kristen Stewart in an underwater thriller.
And as much as I don't like Kristen Stewart, I'm looking forward to this.
Looks pretty good. That'll be what we are talking about that week. Before we leave, though, we want to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, The Palace here in Sun Prairie. Thank you for sponsoring this program, as you always do.
Go out and see The Grudge this weekend.
Yeah. We always appreciate your sponsorship. Like Mike said, next week we're going to be talking about The Grudge, as well as our most disappointing movies from 2019. That should be a fun, interesting list.
And The Grudge can't be on that because it is
2020 movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too bad. Okay, I've got high hopes for it.
I'm always disappointed in the lineup of the first week. There's always a horror movie, and I'm always pleasantly surprised. But The Grudge is going to be a tough one because the last few were pretty bad.
We'll talk about it next week. But until that time, I'm Jamison.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.